So learning an abundance frame of thought is not easy. Even when I have to learn to clean the house, and we all have to survive, even if we're sole survivors. So then learning to financially either win, so turn our L's to W's, is not easy when we need to learn to be more responsible. So there's a lot of distribution companies that have to learn to fix their accounting and paperwork, because when a person then uses the distribution and buys all the brands that support the person going through distribution, that's supposed to then be able to fund the person or individual who's using the resources to be able to distribute enough to be in a net plus to then have a win-win abundant like situation, especially for, in order to have a household be able to function um, in a net plus or a positive way that then doesn't get as dark, or is able to just be able to be of abundance to help people in general. So when one person is able to create certain systems and then spend enough money to use these systems like Spotify and Apple Music, many times this is supposed to be able to uh, fund enough to have the distribution give them enough money to continue to do the work that they do, because the distribution hasn't done the work that they distribute for the person who's actually doing the work for of 10 years, from 10 to 15 to 20 years of back pay. So when doing work for 10 to 15, 20 years, that work is supposed to then be able to fund the next work without them paying it out of their own pockets. So if I have to continue to pay out of my own pockets and the corporations aren't funding me, then that doesn't look good as a win-win abundant like situation that could even help the corporations themselves. So if the corporations aren't bringing back the correct amount of money in accounting, just due to incorrect accounting and the algorithm not working correctly, this then doesn't help the corporation stay in business if both can have a net plus and also keep both parties in business. So if Apple Music and Spotify keep World Music Innovations and WMI Records in business, it's easier for me to keep funding them for them to also stay in business from one of the biggest business brands, even on days where I need more venture capital, or which is not even venture, it's just out of my own pocket, where you're not being funded by corporations or venture capital, which could be in different ways through the government. So then that shows that business sometimes is not functioning enough for then one person to then continue to do business in different cities, in their own hometown, in different states, or even different countries. So when doing business in many different countries, it's better to have somebody be able to then get enough to continue to maintain in business in different countries from the funding of the corporations that they're spending their own pocket money or their own capital to fund the corporations that are able to then get them to different countries, different cities, different states, and even their own hometown, the location that they've been in for the longest. So that's very interesting when creating business, or even having Congress or government work in ways where a function can create a net plus, or is a equal to both parties being of a win-win situation versus two people having a mindset where two people cannot win or then have to go to war. So I like to have my music and my products and my media travel to many different countries to create net plus, which is an abundance mindset, which is two people winning. Even if I'm, loud, or if I look crazy, which then, if that means somebody could be judging me, right, through discrimination. But even if I'm loud or look crazy, or even if I'm younger in business, I should still be able to have enough funding from the supply chain or the corporations for it to continue to function in a net plus without having the state police or the government then infringe on the supply chain or the mindset, which is of net plus, right? Which is positive media content, which is music that's able to go globally, which is also world music innovations, which is products that are either from Hawaii to even Canada in different countries, and even, so could be other things, etc., that I could also be missing, right? So then this content, this mindset, and also it could be called other things like framework or a net plus win, is sometimes um, minimized instead of maximized. So these corporations minimize it, which doesn't make sense because then that's of plus, right? They could have more money as well as I have more money, which then has business functioning instead of having the business either disappear or then not create a net plus. Not easy to create, especially once you're being not maximized but minimized as well, or compromise on media, right? But we're also showing that you can have many compromises, but then what the media or the mindset is able to show of products that are able to translate out of the camera, which is, the person in real life, right? Phone number, email, and name. So when these corporations, which are some of the big distribution companies, are supposed to have him be able to then take care of his self, his mom, right? So then if there's a lot of women working at the, distribution or things, and if they're getting paid more than him to not have the equation function, then his mom is not able to get paid or retired the way that if he does all of this work and goes through different countries, he's supposed to be able to take care of himself, his mom, as well as if he has a partner, right? So not only he should be able to take care of himself, which is his health, which would be a win-win for both parties, right? Could be Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, Google, um, different distribution, Apple Music, like that, should be able to pay him enough where he can take care of himself but continue to do business in 50 plus cities, 50 plus countries, and even within his own community to help his own teeth, help him gain weight, but then enough to even retire his mom or his sister, or even have people have an abundance mindset. So if he shows this onto media this many times, then it's showing people that they're not sometimes willing to learn that mindset, which is then just an interference to the whole, right? So the Winners Club abundance mindset, we like to try to, sometimes it's losing less money in the long run. So if I lose $200 in the um the last 4 months, that's some, and I'm in business in 50 countries and 50 states, I should be able to have a net plus, right? If I only lose 200, that's only $50 a month, but then still pay my cost of living. If I'm doing business in 50 cities, 50 countries and with different corporations. The equation should be able to have me have a net plus where I'm able to continue to do business and also take care and help my household. So I gotta continue to mop the floor. I gotta
it's not stuck right in the middle of the floor.
okay. I gotta continue to work. I gotta continue to sell more products, and I'm gonna just chop this up and start mopping the floor. The Wish You Were Mine album is out now. The song Revolution is out now. As well as Sweet Soul Baby, Seven Rings, Magic Island, and the song Untouchable is out now. So shout out to my real ones. I got a lot of research and studying that I have to continue to do. And stay tuned.